Boating really is an absolutely incredible hobby, but it comes with its own inherent set of risks, kind of like this crew found out just off the coast of Hernando Beach this past week, while they were out enjoying a fishing trip when all of a sudden they realized their vessel was taking on water. By the time they realized this though, the boat had already lost all engine power and electronics, meaning this crew had lost the ability to use the radio to contact emergency services. Fortunately, the crew had flares on board, launched them into the air, somebody saw them, called 911, and Coast Guard and local officials were able to come out and rescue this crew, just like some of the things we'll see in this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. Our first story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Daytona Beach, Florida, where this was the scene this past week.
I copy, Center. Show me on scene. 10. Air 1 Center, we're on scene.
Where this was the scene this past week when a group of 11 people were a few hundred yards off the shore of Daytona Beach enjoying a day out on the water, when all of a sudden the vessel they were on unexpectedly broke apart, sending all 11 people into the water. Fortunately, Volusia County Services all quickly jumped into action. The sheriff's office launched a helicopter, and local lifeguards and officials quickly jumped into the water with watercraft, flotation devices, and surfboards to try and grab all 11 people and bring them back to shore safely. At this time, we're not 100% sure what actually caused this vessel to break apart. One thing is certain though, the weather looks great. There's not heavy seas, light winds, so weather likely did not play a role in this vessel breaking apart.
Two more victims on that vessel, and they might be assisting them to bring it in, but I think all the other victims are in.
Due to the quick actions of the Volusia County Services who were involved in this incident, all 11 people were quickly brought back to shore safely with no injuries reported, and the services were actually even able to bring the remains of the vessel back into the beach safely as well.
Someone back on the beach. Remaining victims are on the sandbar. Good for. Copy that. All accounted for. Boats on the sand as well. 11.
Now, Volusia County did such a good job on the first story, why don't we just stay there for the second story? And that's exactly what we're going to do.
Somebody had a boat in emergency.
As again, this was the scene in Volusia County this past week when 4 people had to be rescued from the Ponce Inlet jetty after their boat was overturned and wound up crashing into the rocks. What made this one even a little worse is one of the people that got stuck on the jetty couldn't swim, making the rescue just a little more difficult.
Yeah, they're continuously hitting us with an SOS distress flash signal with a flashlight. Volusia County Sheriff Helicopter Air 1 to the vessels at the Ponce Inlet Jetty. We got a call in possible drowning down here. Are you guys all okay, or does anybody need medical attention?
I have no idea what condition the people on the rocks are in. It's hard to hear what's going on. You're putting light on it right now, and that's the most we're able to see.
Fortunately for this crew, one of the 4 members of the vessel was able to navigate their way down the rocks toward the shore and alert some people on a pier of their situation. 911 was called, the Coast Guard was dispatched, as well as the Volusia County Sheriff's Office. The Coast Guard tried backing their boats into the rocks, but unfortunately couldn't get close enough to really assist with the rescue. The Volusia County Sheriff's Office had a jet ski in the area and was able to use that as well as a rescue swimmer to get close to the rocks and pull each person off one by one until all 4 people were safely on board a vessel.
Central Coast Guard on LE7. Yeah, they're just getting the second person, waiting on the third now, but they're requesting EMS meet them at the station, so non-emergency. All victims are safely up on that Coast Guard boat.
Again, great job by Volusia County Services and the Coast Guard working in cooperation together, rescuing all 4 people with no injuries reported. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us to the North Carolina coast, where this was the scene this past week, when 4 divers went out to enjoy a dive near Frying Pan Shoal. At the end of their dive, the 4 divers resurfaced, only to learn they had drifted several hundred yards away from their vessel. Unfortunately, the crew attempted to get back to the boat, only to realize, as they attempted to swim to the vessel, they continued to drift further away. The crew off in the distance spotted Frying Pan Tower and decided to try and swim for that, but even after 5 hours of attempting to get there, they realized they could not make it, wound up inflating their raft and trying to wait to be rescued. Once the captain of the dive vessel realized that the divers had not resurfaced, they went ahead and contacted emergency services, and a Coast Guard rescue was launched. Fortunately for this crew, after about 15 hours of being in their raft, a Coast Guard helicopter wound up flying over their head. They were able to use the lights that they had on board the boat to alert alert the helicopter of their presence, thus leading to their eventual rescue by a Coast Guard vessel as seen in the images here. This really is a lucky one. We have seen several of these types of incidents over the past several weeks, and they don't always have a happy story, but fortunately for this crew, it does have a good ending. But I do have a question. After seeing more and more incidents like this over the past several weeks, as a boater, we use personal locator beacons in case we go overboard. Do they make something similar for divers? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button.